G'day, I'm Warwick Schiller and welcome back to another episode of The Principles of Training. I'm Warwick Schiller and welcome back to another episode of The Principles of Training. In this episode, I want to talk about how you can connect with your horse under saddle by being aware of where their ears are and timing your releases when their thoughts come back to you. Your horse's ears will tell you where they're thinking, and what I'd really like to have a horse do when I'm riding is have their ears go up, back, up, back, up, back. Where we're going, what are we doing? But a lot of times when we're riding horses, those ears are thinking away from us, or they're thinking about something else. In this episode, I want to show you a lady that was at a clinic here recently in this arena, and her horse on the ground the previous day, when you would pick up on the lead rope, like going around you, everything just leant to the outside. And when I got on this horse here, which was on the second day of the clinic, and I picked up on the left rein to steer that horse to the left, even though the horse's head went to the left and his body was bent to the left and he was going left, everything was going that way. All his weight was tipped out to the outside. It was almost like he was running his shoulder out. He's really rejecting my ask. And so I hop on, and the thing I want to show you here is I release this horse when his ear flicks back to me, and after a while you see it will really make him be more connected with me and be more responsive to my ask. Walk off here. So I'm going to, okay, there's the problem. So he has the same problem on the ground as he does under saddle. When I pick up on this rein, everything is pulling that way. He's thinking that way, he's leaning that way, like he's just pulling again. Now he's thinking to the right, isn't he? I want to go right. But if I pick up my right rein, now he's thinking to the left. So it's not a right thing or a left thing. It's a rejection of our ask. Like when I ask him to go this way, he goes, no, I don't want to think right. When I pick up this way, he's like, no, I want to think right, I don't want to think left. So it's not a right or a left thing. It's basically a rejection of whatever you're asking. Do you have kids? Yeah. Did you ever take your kids to the fair when they were younger? Okay, who's taking their kids to the fair? And you're at the fair all day, and it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and your kid goes, hey Mom, can I? And you're like, no. Whatever it is, no. Okay? He's a little bit like that, but he's like it on the ground too. Remember yesterday, you're trying to lead him up beside you, and he will go faster, but he's... Anyway, I think you fixed him, because it doesn't seem like he wants to run around a lot. But I'm so glad he doesn't want to run around a lot, because I've got no tools. Like if he was running around and I said, I want to put a bend in your body right here, he would go faster that way, not think this way. But what I want to start working on with him is having him think over here. So I'm just going to pick up on this rein. Well, that time he thought this way a little bit. I'm just going to pick up on this rein. There we go. See the ear flick this way? So where's over there? This is a little bit like your backup. I'm going to pick up on this rein. There you go. I'm going to pick up on this left rein. And what I want to reward with this horse is when his thoughts come this way. And one way to judge that is his ears. So see his ears are over there. I'm going to pick up on this rein. I've still picked up on it. There we go. So he started to turn left, but his ear didn't flick left. I didn't let go when he started to turn left. I let go when his ear flicked left, because his ear gives me an indication of where he's thinking. Okay? And it's not about the physical act he does, it's about what he does here. So I'm going to pick up here. He's turning, but his ears haven't flicked left, hasn't flicked, right there it flicked. I don't care what physical response I get at this point in time, because my life's not in danger. If he was running around like an idiot, I'd be wanting a physical response. But when they're like this, so his ears are, I'm going to wait till his ears are looking at this. So I'm going to start to steer to the right. There's no ear, right there. The ear starts to come. I'm going to let go. Even though he wasn't really physically responding, I'm just trying to get him to where, so it's almost like I'm teaching him how to meditate. I'm the guided meditation guy. You know? Now just focus on your breathing. There we go. Like bring your attention back to the present. Does that make sense? I'm just going to pick up here. He's looking over there. There, that ear comes, I'll let go. No matter what physical response he gives me, at this point in time, I want to reward that. I'm going to pick up here. He's turning, but his ear hasn't come. His ear hasn't, right there, his ear came, I'll let go. So there's a couple of things going on here. I'm basically doing like a guided meditation for horses. I am rewarding him when his thoughts come this way. But right about there. Not only am I rewarding him when his thoughts come this way, what else am I doing? I'm communicating to him that I am so aware of what's going on, I can tell when you think over here instead of over there, and I'm going to let go when you do. And so when I pick up here and he turns and doesn't move his ear and doesn't move his ear and doesn't move his ear, and right there the ear moves and I let go, I'm saying, I am so in tune with you, I can tell what you're thinking. I can read your mind. Which gives your horse a lot of confidence. Anyway, does that make sense there? Some of you would be aware of, I used to be really big, well I still am, but used to be really big on a thing called destination addiction. And destination addiction is something I found on, hello. Thing I found on Facebook a few years ago, and it said, beware of destination addiction. Destination addiction is the idea that you'll find happiness in your next house, in your next car, with your next partner. Until you give up the idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. Where's Barbara? Down there. So when you're out in the cross-country course and your horse is wanting to run back to the barn, that's destination addiction. That is that horse. I feel better over there than over here. And so what I've usually done with the destination addiction thing is use the choose where you work, choose where you rest principle. So, you know, like if I was in this arena and I got on a horse that wanted to go to the gate over there, I would either pick up a trot over there or I'd trot in circles over there or something. So you can be over here, but it's going to be more work than somewhere else. And when they come over here, I do less. It's hotter, colder sort of thing. But I had a clinic at the end of 2017 in Australia, and there were 3 people in this group. It was in the afternoon. And one of their horses was pretty good, and they were going to be ridden. This was a ridden clinic. But the other 2 came in and their horses were whinnying and niggering and running around and looking back towards the barn and whatever. And I had them both hop on, and instead of doing the whole destination addiction thing, so I'm just going to pick up this right rein and wait for that ear. Still not, still not, still not, still not. Right there it came. Instead of, you know, like these horses, 2 of these horses were kind of attracted to each other. So instead of letting them go to each other and working them till they wanted to go away, what I did was I said, I want you to hop on, and as long as your horse is walking, as long as they don't run off, you're fine. Just, if they're looking in one direction, the ears are in one direction, steer them in the other direction until the ear flicks and then let go, no matter what physical response you get. And so these 2 horses were pretty wound up and pretty clingy and whinnying and looking back at the barn. They want to be at the gate, they want to be with each other. And so these 2 hopped on, and it was like bumper cars for a while because these horses were almost crashing into each other. And it was totally different to what I've ever done before, because some of those horses, you'd be pulling this rein and they'd have their head pulling the other way and their ear would flick and we'd let go. Which in the past I'd be like, that's stupid, that's how you teach a horse to pull against you. But anyway, after about 10 minutes of that, both these horses just separated, went their way, were not looking at the barn, were not looking at each other, and walked around like this around the arena. And it's basically like a guided meditation for horses. Bring your attention back here. So that little story I told there about those 2 horses at that clinic, that's the first time I'd tried that. It was just a little hunch I had. I thought, I'm not going to mess with this. And it worked so well. I've been using it ever since for a lot of different scenarios. But the big thing about it, like I said with that horse, is not only are you directing their attention back to you, which takes their attention off other things that might cause them concern and cause their worry to build up. That's one part of it. But the other part of it is you are letting that horse know how present you are and how you can almost read their thoughts, how aware of their thoughts you are. And that in itself will give that horse a great deal of trust and confidence in you as a rider. So that's all I'm going to do, is just wander around here and do that. Now, the order of things I do this in is, once I could get to where I picked up and the ear flicks like that. Hello, hello. Once I pick up and that ear flicks immediately almost every time. Then I'm going to go, okay, now I want you, now that you mentally follow what I'm picking up on, now I want you to physically follow it. Okay, and I'll just mess with this a bit longer and pick up on this when the ear comes. Good. So see the ear starting to come easier. I'm going to pick up here. The ear just flicked a little bit right there. So now the ear's coming easier. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to expect the physical response too. So I'm going to pick up here, the ear comes. Now, you might notice I've got one finger on this rein, and see she's going this way better than she was when I first started. You guys can see that, you know, when I picked up here, she was pulling that way. When I pick up here, the ear comes, and then see how easily she follows that? So you can see right there how much better that horse got about me asking him to turn left, even though I didn't actually train on him. That whole scenario wasn't about me training him. That was about me communicating with him that I know where his thoughts are. And initially he was really resistant to that, even though his body bent and he went that way, but I could feel him leaning the other way. But by the end of that, once his ear started flicking a whole lot, you know, I could get his attention sooner. I could just take that one finger, run it down the rein, and as I took my finger down the rein, he just bent and went that way. So I really think that letting that horse know how present you are and how you can almost read their mind can really have a big effect on, say, a horse that appears to be stiff or resistant. I don't think they're saying no to what you're asking them to do. I just don't think they are trusting us to actually do it. In this episode, we've been talking about how being observant of your horse's ears, which is an indication of where your horse's thoughts are, how that can help you connect with your horse a bit better. But there's something else you can do with it too, is you can use that same technique, that being aware of what their ears are doing and redirecting their thoughts back to you. You can use that to de-escalate a spook, or actually prevent a spook before it happens. And so this clip right here, we're going to show you how I can use that ear flicking to prevent a spook from actually escalating. I want to film it today because Dale here, so we've got some cows that live next door behind that fence, and we've got little cracks in that fence, and a couple of days ago Dale saw the cows moving back there, and since then he's been spooky of that corner down there. And so I'm going to walk down there and show you what I would do with this. But first I want you to look at Dale's ears right now. Okay, so we're walking along here, so let's say his ears are up like that, and I pick up here right about there, that left ear, that right ear flick back towards me. It's not very hard to get his attention. Okay, so I'm going to walk over here beside this fence, and as we get further down towards that corner, his ears will start to prick more. I'll start to feel that energy build up in him. You know, when a horse is thinking about spooking or something or other, like right here, you see he's quite intense right there. I'm going to pick up on this right rein, watch his right ear, still hasn't come, right there. So it took me till he was facing this way before he took his attention off that. And you see he just licked and chewed. So I did this yesterday. He won't be probably as bad today, but you know, I can't have a camera out here all day, every day, and sometimes something will pop up like, I need to film that tomorrow, and sometimes the next day it's not as pronounced as it was yesterday. But so what I did yesterday was I turned him off here, and then I went back around again. So you might notice that he licked and chewed right there. So that lick and chew was getting rid of that little build-up of concern he was getting. And there's a big sigh too. A little build-up of concern he was getting over there. So I'll just circle back around, and we'll wander back up here. Again, see his ears are really pricked right here. He's like, ooh, what's that? I'm going to pick up here. Steer, right there. He was almost pointing that way before his ear came to me, which means his mind was still over there. Ooh, what is that spooky, scary thing? Okay, so I'll just wander back around here. So the reason I'm pointing out how long it takes for his ear to come back to me, because that kind of tells you how entrenched he was in this stuff. So right here, he's looking at it again. I pick up here, and right, so a little less than a quarter of a turn before his ear came back to me that time. So that was a little better, wasn't it? I'm going to walk up here. Right there, did you see what his right ear just did? I just waved my right leg a little bit, and his right ear flicked back towards me, which means instead of him being totally focused there, like, oh my God, what is it? It's going to get me. He was still half aware of me. And look at his right ear flicking back and forth right now. So I'm just going to walk up here. And if his ears get really pricked again, like, oh, like, no, they're flopping back and forth. Now they're quite pricked. I'm going to pick up here, and right about there, that ear came back to me. He's not showing you as much today as he was yesterday. So yesterday, when I came down here, he started getting quite a bit more. I could feel him getting tense. But see right here, right now, he feels interested. He doesn't feel like he's going to spook at something. He's like, hey, what's going on over there? Whereas yesterday, the feeling I got from him was concern. Right here, he seems like he's interested. I got a loose board right there. I got to fix. So right here, I'm going to see how easy I can get his ear back, and right about there. So I must have went all the way around before his ear flicked back towards me. So that corner up there is of a little more concern to him than the rest of it. So right now he's that's interested. You know, when they prick their ears and they really get like that, that's like when they're concerned. Right now he's just interested in trying to look over the fence. So I'm going to pick up on this right rein here, and right about there, his right ear flicked back towards me. So I'm really just trying to get that ear to flick back towards me. Head back over here again. And right now those ears are, I'm going to pick up on this rein, steer. Hello, where's the ear? There it is. I might just keep walking around here for a second. And so he's got that inside ear. Oh, not on me, 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 right there. It's on me. And I might just wander back down here again, back to the start of this thing. So I basically did this whole thing yesterday for a lot longer than I'm doing it here today. But this is pretty much how I did it, what I did yesterday. Walk back down here again. So his ears are up. Right there, I got his right ear to flick back towards me. Right now, his ears aren't just pricked, they're kind of working. I'm going to pick up on this right rein and steer till that right ear does that. So anytime I can't get his ears back to me, I think that's that tension mounting in there. And every time you take your attention off that, you know, it's kind of like anxious people learning to meditate. They start to get anxious, so their mind's on something that's making them feel anxious, and if you can redirect their mind back to the present, it goes away. So I'm going to wander up here. So his ears are both moving, like they're not pricked straight forward, they're kind of loose. His right ear's kind of cocked off to the right here. Now they're kind of pricked. I'm going to pick up here. See, his right ear hasn't come. Right there, it finally came. And so some people would probably watch this and go, well, that horse isn't spooking. My horse, I got a horse that spooks. Failing to notice all these little parts where the horse is distracted enough to where you can't easily get his attention back to you is the start of all the spooking. Of the big spooking. So right here, his right ear is flicking backwards and forwards. I'm going to steer him off to the right here. Where's his right ear flick? There's his right ear. And I'll just keep circling around here and I'll head back over here. So right here I may just stop and ask him to back up. Right there, he's left it. There you go, there's his ears. Walk up here. So right now I'm going to stop and ask him to back up. There we go. So right now I probably don't need to steer him away from it. Right now what I can do is just pick up a little bit. So if you work on this stuff a lot in situations you have control of, like this, then you could actually be, say, out on a trial ride somewhere and you're riding along and your horse starts to get a bit uptight. You can maybe stop, back up a step, and oh, they flick their attention back to you, and you just diffuse that situation. So instead of it building, they just kind of, no big deal. I'll wander back down here again. So his ears are reasonably floppy right here. Right here, his ears are starting to prick. I'm going to pick up, and right there, both ears flick back towards me so I can keep going. Right there, both ears flick back towards me on his own. I'm going to pick up here and wait for both ears to flick back. Go up here, get both ears to flick back. Very good. So then where you could really get this to is you could just do a little, something as subtle as a half halt to get his attention to come back to you. So I'll see if I can do kind of son of a slight downward transition to see if I can get his ears back to me this time. This is when you're getting to where it's getting quite subtle. So I'm walking up here. I'm going to ask him to slow a little and keep going. Very good. His ears are on me. I release. His right ear is still nice and soft, which means it's not pricked straight forward. It's still half on me. Right here, I might just pick up here, add a little leg. That right ear, there you go. That flicked back to me, and I'm jolly good. So you could get to where you're riding, down the trail, and you could just pick up and add a little leg, get them to engage themselves a little bit, direct their attention back to you like that, and it could really help with the spooking, because usually a spook is a build-up of stuff, as in they're looking and they're looking and they're looking and they're looking and they get closer and then blah! As soon as you notice your horse's ears go off you, I don't mean, I've got to be careful with this stuff, because sometimes I say that and people go, his ears are on me, his ears are on me, hey, his ears are on me. You're not trying to be the crazy ear person, but if you just, if you're riding along and you pick up and it takes 5 or 6 seconds for those ears to flick back towards you, you want to make sure that you can probably get a little easier than that, and especially out trail riding. But trail riding is not necessarily the place to teach that. Somewhere, and maybe trail riding is the place to teach it, but it's somewhere you have control over the situation. You're not riding along and all of a sudden a kangaroo jumps out of the bushes. It's got to be something that concerns it a little bit, but you know where it is, what it is, and how far away from it you are, so that you can start to work on it at the very fringes of where it starts to get slightly bad. And so then when you're out on the trail, you can actually use those skills. And I read an interesting quote yesterday that the Navy SEALs use, and they talk about when they get in a situation. They say you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your training. And so if you cannot get your horse's attention easy when nothing's going on, when you get out there on the trail and things are starting to build up, if you can't get that attention to flick back to you when nothing's going on, you're really probably not going to be able to do it when something is going on. So hopefully in this episode you've learnt how important it is to be aware of your horse's ears, how much of an indication of their thoughts are, and how much benefit you can get out of being able to communicate to your horse you're aware of where their thoughts are, and redirecting their thoughts when they get into a little bit of a bothersome spot. It can really help your horse create a great deal of trust and connection with you. Join us next time for another episode of The Principles of Training.